Oh, we're live. We're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our weekly Ask Me Anything live stream. I'm going to just give it a few minutes. Let some people come on. There's good stuff to talk about. Okay. Hi, guys. Hi, whoever is watching. Hi, 2 people watching. It's probably people that are friends. It's probably my friend in the other room. That's okay. We'll give it a few minutes. I actually found that the last time it trickled, and then the next thing I know, there was like 100 people on there. So I don't know exactly how the algorithm works when it's like a few people come on and then more people come on. And so then I don't know how any of that works. But we're doing these weekly Ask Me Anythings. It's sort of, it's live from the campaign week. Like this is what's going on this week in the campaign. And you guys can ask questions, but we also have news things to talk about. There's no shortage of horrific information for us to discuss, which is sad, but true. I didn't mean to do that. I don't know why I did that with the chat. Wait, hold on. Where'd it go? Okay, there it is. Okay, so hey guys, welcome. So for people coming on, I'm Jen Perlman. I'm a candidate for U.S. Congress in Florida's 25th district. I am challenging Debbie Wasserman Schultz in the primary. And this is our weekly Ask Me Anything Instagram live stream where I'm going to talk about some news stories. And it's actually kind of, I'm not really telling the news as much as you're watching me read the news, because we're going to experience it together. So people put together and curate a nice list of, potential stories for me to talk about. So I haven't seen them yet either. So it's almost like my own version of a reaction channel, and you're going to get to see me react to reading horrific news stories. And then, of course, you guys can ask me questions. And the questions don't necessarily have to be for the stories, but we can get started. So I want to start with this story from Al Jazeera. And the title is Israel White Phosphorus Attacks on Lebanon Harming People and Ecosystem. Well, that doesn't sound good right there. So more than 92,600 people have been displaced from their villages in South Lebanon by the attacks. Okay, so now we're talking about Lebanon. And for people who are not very familiar, Lebanon is actually directly to the north of Israel. So it's Israel's northern border. So it is the exact opposite end of where Gaza is. Literally the opposite end. So this is what's going on in the northern border. As Al Jazeera reported in March, Israel continues to use white phosphorus munitions in South Lebanon, causing lasting damage and driving villagers away, even as Israeli officials threaten a war across their northern border. A new report released Wednesday by Human Rights Watch concurs, showing that white phosphorus attacks are putting civilians at grave risk and contributing to displacement. More than 92,600 people have been displaced since October 6th. According to the International Organization for Migration, Israel's use of airburst white phosphorus munitions in populated areas indiscriminately harms civilians and has led many to leave their homes. Ramzi Kass, Lebanon researcher at HRW, said in the report. In their investigation, HRW also verified the use of white phosphorus munitions by the Israeli military in at least 17 municipalities across South Lebanon since October of 23, when Israel's war on Gaza began. So this isn't even new. They've been doing it in 17 municipalities since October of 23. They verified the illegal use of airburst munitions over populated residential areas in the municipalities of Kfar Kila, Meis El Jabal, Bustain Markaba, and Aita al-Shab. White phosphorus injuries can be severely painful and necrotic. Oxides can reignite in the skin unless the burns are covered immediately and kept covered to prevent any exposure to oxygen. This is a nightmare. This is a total nightmare. Other symptoms may include severe respiratory problems, acute lung injury, severe eye damage, second or third degree burns, or even severe bone diseases such as the necrotic Lucifer's jaw. I don't know what that is, but it does not sound good. And here's the problem. These are symptoms that may happen for just anybody. What about people that are predisposed, or people that are young or elderly or whatever? I mean, this is a nightmare. Among those verified cases of civilians who were rushed to the hospital on October 15th for asphyxiation after coming in contact with the phosphorus. Unbelievable. No, it isn't. It's very believable. Reported cases of white phosphorus continued into June. In a March investigation into Israeli use of white phosphorus in southern Lebanon, Al Jazeera was told by Lebanese experts that Israel was attempting to create a buffer zone by making the region uninhabitable and impossible to cultivate. Yeah, that sounds about right. Agriculture accounts for up to 80% of South Lebanon's gross domestic product, according to the United Nations. Al Jazeera's investigation found that Israel had dropped 117 phosphoric bombs on southern Lebanon, striking at least 32 towns and villages between October and March. Unbelievable. The impacted area spanned nearly the entirety of Lebanon's southern border. The HRW urged Lebanon to file a declaration with the International Criminal Court to enable an investigation and prosecution of grave international crimes on Lebanese territory since October 2023. The documented use of white phosphorus has renewed calls from rights organizations to close the loopholes that see it used in populated areas. The fact that this isn't already a violation is, I would have thought it was actually. So apparently this is not necessarily just an automatic violation, but based on when the decision with Israel has a history of using white phosphorus in Lebanon, lending credence to the buffer zone theory, according to observers. So they're just trying to make that buffer area uninhabitable. But what's interesting is I do know that the whole northern part of Israel has been like that close to the border. They've all been evacuated too, and it's been abandoned. So Israel's border has essentially been pushed south. So them doing this does not surprise me. And this is also not the first time they've done this in the past before. So after rights groups accused Israel of war crimes for its use of white phosphorus in the 2008-2009 Gaza offensive, the Israeli military said it would stop using it as a smokescreen munitions in built-up areas with unspecified exceptions. Stronger international standards against the use of white phosphorus are needed to ensure these weapons do not continue to endanger civilians. Like, again, this to me is something that should not even be that we're still discussing it. It's really kind of ridiculous that we're still discussing it. What do we have here? We have a question. Will you set up your own caucus in Washington completely free from corporate Democrats and endorse progressive primary challengers? I don't know if I'm setting up my own caucus, but I will endorse progressive primary challengers against corporate incumbents. I will support any non-corporate candidate over a corporate candidate. That actually is partisan aside. Like that's not even relevant to me. I don't know if it's setting up a caucus as much as it is just speaking my mind and voting my conscience. So I want to kind of transition from this, because what's so disgusting is, so now we're going to transition from the fact that Israel is in fact using white phosphorus in Lebanon. How is that not seen as a direct attack on Lebanon? How is that not seen as somehow a declaration of war? I mean, I know there's certain skirmishes that we're just used to seeing at that northern border that are just typical, unfortunately, for people in Lebanon, that they have to endure living with just constant bombardment and risk. But the white phosphorus thing is particularly nefarious. And the problem is it's not just affecting people there now, it's going to affect people for decades, because this is going to get in their soil. This is a hazard. This is a chemical hazard. So, this is something that we will have to be dealing with when you have those kinds of chemicals for years. So it isn't just what they're doing right now. So yeah, that's kind of off the wall. So while that's happening, this is the thing. So we're going to look at this. And this is one we did talk about a little bit last week, but it's so infuriating that it requires another, go through, especially in light of the fact that Israel is using white phosphorus in Lebanon. Okay, so how that is helping in some way and justified by their war or their genocide in Gaza, their war, how that somehow is related or can be justified by invading Lebanon with white phosphorus, I don't understand. But while that's going on, as some of us know, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu is set to address the U.S. Congress on July 24th. Some of us are hopeful that he will be incarcerated before then. Here's hoping. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to address a joint meeting of Congress on July 24th, setting the stage for what is expected to be a contentious speech at a crucial moment for the ongoing genocide. I refuse to say what they're calling it. Congressional leaders confirmed the date of the address late Thursday after formally inviting Netanyahu to come speak before lawmakers last week. So again, our congressional leaders are inviting somebody that has been charged with war crimes, currently being charged with war crimes by the International Criminal Court, to come and speak to a joint session of our government, right? Like, so of Congress. That gives it so, it's so legitimizing. It's so just disgusting. This is disgusting. Everybody that's participating in this, as far as I'm concerned, you're also aiding and abetting war crimes. I personally think that everybody in Congress who has signed off to give money to this or signed off to ship arms there is complicit in war crimes. And if one were to really trickle down that food chain through the ICC, and that is, of course, assuming we were party to that, which we're not because we're somehow above the ICC, then all of the people in Congress that have been approving the release of our resources to this genocide would be complicit for aiding and abetting a genocide. So they all are, as far as I'm concerned. So again, like I said last time, the fact that we're inviting him to speak and they're willing to listen to him speak, that's not the abhorrent part. It's off the wall that we've gotten at this point. The abhorrent part is that we're supporting this person by facilitating his genocide. That's the outrageous part. The fact that some of his bootlickers over here are willing to do so in front of us all, that's just par for the course. And if anybody were to ask the question, which I've heard before, but would I attend? No, I wouldn't. And actually, the only way I would attend would be if we were party to the International Criminal Court and I was attending to watch him be arrested and extradited. Then I would attend. That actually would be really interesting. But until we're a party to the International Criminal Court and he gets exposed to criminal liability in this country and risks being arrested, I would not participate in anything like that. So what are the primary polls saying, and how do we improve our numbers against DWS? We don't have polling numbers yet. We just started field operations this past week, so we're going to be working on that a little bit before we even want to seek out poll numbers. It just makes sense to be out there for a little bit before we do that. But honestly, my biggest concern is just the complete defeatism amongst Democrats. and not just the amount of people bleeding and leaving the party, but the amount of people that are just staying in the party, but are just so unmotivated and so unhappy with the party that they're not even wanting to entertain the idea of even getting involved in a Democratic primary. Like, my biggest obstacle is defeatism amongst a lot of voters to come out and vote in a primary when they feel like their vote hasn't counted. Can I reach out to the Progressive Democrat Caucus for assistance? Yeah, interesting you should say that. I mean, they've reached out regarding me getting their endorsement, and we're in the process of doing that to get their endorsement, and that would be really nice and all. And that would be great if they wanted to offer some assistance, but I've been living here and participating like in this political realm down here really actively since about 2015. And I have yet to see that really bear any fruit. So yes, I'd love for them to assist if there's some way that they want to assist. But really what we need are people canvassing. We need people on the ground. We need volunteers. So unless that's something that they're really wanting to do for us down here, yeah, and so I would suggest, and if anybody is interested, we do need boots on the ground. We need volunteers. We're doing canvasses 3 days a week now. So please go to the website at gen2024.org and sign up. If you can't be here because you don't live here and you can't canvass, obviously there's still other ways that you can help, and we need other help. We also do need money. We need donations. There's no doubt about it. This is an uphill battle, even in the best case scenario. So let's see a little bit what AP is saying about this visit. So this is by the AP. So let's take everything with a grain of salt here. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to address joint meeting to what is expected to be a contentious speech. Okay. The existential challenges we face, including the growing partnership between Iran, Russia, and China, threaten the security, peace, and prosperity of our countries and of free people around the world. House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat, along with Senate Republican Leader Mitch McConnell and House Democrat Leader Hakeem Jeffries, said in the letter. So in other words, they all said this. This is a nonpartisan thing. Essentially, our party leaderships, both sides, our congressional leadership, is wanting to convince us, fear-mongering, mind you, that the growing partnership between Iran, Russia, and China threatens the security and peace and prosperity of our countries and of free people around the world. Yeah, no, Mike, what threatens the prosperity of our country, of countries and free people around the world is U.S. empire. That's the problem. That's the problem. I know that. So if you go to any country like that you would consider to be the other hemisphere, and you go and ask just a random person what country they are most afraid of, yeah, it's not Iran, Russia, and China. That they don't find those countries to be the biggest threat to their peace and security. They just don't. That's our propaganda talking point. And by the way, one of the biggest reasons that those three countries have joined together is because those are all countries that we violate in some way or another. That's why. That's why. So we need to make them out to be the bad guy. And it's just all unbelievably just U.S. empire in action. Okay, so those are our existential crises that apparently both parties and congressional leadership are fully on board with supporting this fear mongering. Okay. So, to build on our enduring relationship and to highlight America's solidarity with Israel, we invite you to share the Israeli government's vision for defending democracy, combating terror, and establishing a just and lasting peace in the region. That is absurd. The whole thing. Who buys this? Honestly, okay. We invite you to share Israeli government's vision for defending democracy. What democracy? Israel's not a democracy. So I don't understand how a country that isn't a democracy we should listen to their vision on defending a democracy when they don't in fact have a democracy. They have an apartheid state. That's what they have. They have an apartheid state. So this honestly, it reminds me of like early 80s when we were still fighting the apartheid South Africa, like the narrative, that bogus narrative that was still coming out even about like, back in the day that were like Nelson Mandela was the bad guy and all of that nonsense. It's all of these places, what they have in common is that we terrorize them. We terrorize them. That's us. So, yeah. Netanyahu's appearance before a growingly divided Congress is sure to be controversial and met with plenty of protests, both inside the Capitol from lawmakers and outside by pro-Palestinian protesters. Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I hope they bring it so good. I hope they make it so unbelievably inconvenient for everybody to get to and unbelievably just difficult. I hope it ends up delaying it. I hope they shut that shit down. That's what I hope. I do. Non-violently, of course. But the idea that Israel's combating terror and defending democracy and a just lasting peace, they've had 76 years. They've had 76 years to create a lasting peace in the region. They have. They've had that much time. So if they haven't done it by now, I'm pretty sure that this psychopath's vision is not going to be the solution. That's just absurd. So the fact that they're inviting him here has nothing to do with hearing his vision. It has to do with licking his boots and making sure that AIPAC is behind these people here and whichever little tool, AIPAC tool candidates that they want to put in here. Schumer, the highest ranking Jewish elected official in the US, who delivered a stinging rebuke of Netanyahu in March. Oh, yes, it was stinging right before we gave them more money. Said in a separate statement Thursday night that he has clear and profound disagreements with the Israeli leader, but joined in the request for him to speak because America's relationship with Israel is ironclad and transcends one person or prime minister. Other Democratic lawmakers more critical of Netanyahu's strategy are expected to be no-shows for the address. Senator Bernie Sanders said Netanyahu is a war criminal. I certainly will not attend. Kudos, Bernie. Kudos for that. Yeah. So America's relationship with Israel is ironclad. So, and really, again, if we were party to the ICC, then he wouldn't even be able to be coming here. So I want people to process that. So it's the fact that we are not party to the International Criminal Court. We are not party to those laws because we're just better than that. We don't need to bother with things like international law. They don't apply to us. But if we were, then he could be arrested. See, then that would be entertaining to watch. That I might even pay to see. That you would have me. That I would take a front row seat to. But yes, our relationship with Israel is ironclad, no matter the genocide they commit. It's so off the wall. We are living in this bizarro universe. It's crazy. These people have gone and lost their damn minds. That is what it feels like to me. So what else can I reach? Okay, what else? You already have my vote and my entire friends and family who are dead. Well, love you, Raul, and hopefully they live here because I love when people say I have their vote, but they don't live here. But no, thank you. I need to go viral. I actually had a tweet go viral a few months back that was really like over 2 million people, which is big for me. That's big for me. And I'm just, I feel like we can do better than this, people. We can definitely do better. So Israel's doing white phosphorus. And then we're welcoming Netanyahu with open arms. And by we, I'm not saying me. So yeah, that's happening. Oh, please bring it, people. If you are in the vicinity, we will keep harping on this between now and July 24th. And again, this is all barring that he doesn't somehow get arrested for something else. I don't know. His time is limited, people. But let's be promoting that whatever happens, really, we need to be pushing people that time to be in DC if they're in the vicinity and be present and be loud, because that is something that we cannot tolerate. We cannot tolerate hosting war criminals and genocidal psychopaths as if that's legitimate because our agreement with their state is okay. No, that shouldn't even be a thing. Then you know what? If that's your deal, Chuck, then you need to have them send someone else. Have them send someone else. Problem is they're all that, but I digress. So yeah, reach out to influencers like Hassan and TYT. Yeah, we have a good comms team. I mean, a lot of it too is they're very, very concerned right now with the races where we have incumbents defending their seats, the progressives like Jamal Bowman and Corey. And so a lot of the sort of fanfare and energy and money is going to defending those seats. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad plan. I think that's important to do. But I also think that because my primary is so late, that it's definitely not going to be the priority for a lot of people. We just have to kind of keep ourselves fresh and be, front of mind. But at the end of the day, it will come around to this. It will come around to this. But we need to be spreading this as much as we can. This isn't about just me. This isn't about this race. This isn't, and it isn't even just about Palestine. That's just the most glaring example of, what's going on right now, what's going on. But if it weren't that, it would be something else. There's always something. Empire's tentacles have no restrictions right now. And that's what we're fighting off. We're fighting off empire tentacles. So, and it's an uphill battle for sure. But, my friend Peter always says, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And so here we go. That's what's going to happen. Instagram question. I live in Miami near FIU, modest campus. Near FIU modest campus? You must mean South Camp modest. I don't know what that is, Modesto. Is it possible for me to vote for you? No. And I appreciate that. And I do see that we answered that. Maybe even Tucker to chip into those MAGA. Look, I have support, and I always have. I've had support over the past 5 years from when I ran in 20, and even on my podcast, from people that a lot of leftists would consider like MAGA people, Republican people, and even libertarians. I have anarchists that have commented and followed me in my chat on my podcast. So there's different things appeal to different people. And I like that. That's important to me. That's what allows me to be able to build coalition. I am someone that can connect all different types of people very easily. I am easily the same comfortable hanging out at, in a back alley with some people behind a bar, just, shooting the crap after a fundraiser as I am at something that's like a black tie gala. Like I'm more comfortable hanging out in the back of the alley, shooting the shit with the people behind a bar. Yeah. But my point is like, I can merge worlds. So I always say I'm building a web. That's what my podcast was for. And that's what I continue to do. And I'll always do is sort of build a web and build coalition, because at the end of the day, it isn't just about this race. This is a bigger mission. This is about justice. This is about, caring for the least of these. This is about fighting for people that can't fight for themselves. And that is something that we'll continue to do. I mean, that's going to continue to happen regardless of what happens with this seat. So my mission and my brand and who I am is beyond just this. So if you are interested, I do have 3.5 years of podcast material on my show called Generational Change on YouTube. It's Generational Change with a J. And it's a nonpartisan show, and I've covered lots of issues over the past more than 3.5 years, lots of topics, lots of guests, were long form interviews. So you can get a take on not just my thoughts on things, but really I have a really good library of material built up with a lot of experts on different areas. So I would suggest that. Anyway, if you guys are interested, we will be doing these weekly, I believe, the AMAs. Every other week, we're planning on Thursdays, we're doing a more long form interview series where I'm going to be talking to different guests that we'll have on to cover different topics, sort of like my podcast. And then we're going to do these short AMAs on Sunday evenings. And so, anybody, if you have questions, feel free to drop them. And yeah, we need help. So guys, if you're not following us on social media, you need to be following us on social media. If you are watching this on YouTube, which I don't think most people are probably on X, but yeah, check us out on our social media handles are Jen, FORFL 25. So it's Jen 4FL 25, our social media handles. And our website again is gen2024.org. Please sign up to volunteer. Again, you don't have to live here to volunteer. If you could even be interested in hosting a Zoom fundraiser online, you know enough people that would be interested in supporting a candidate trying to take out an AIPAC shill, you want to host an online fundraiser where I can come on and just have conversations with people in an intimate kind of Zoom situation where people can ask questions, happy to do it. Basically will work for donations. So if you have any interest in hosting something or even hosting something in person, I will travel for donations. So please reach out. You can reach out to us at campaign@gen2024.org. But yeah, let me know. Anyway, guys, thank you. I'll be back next week. Same time, not necessarily same place. You never know. Sometimes I could be out and about and just go live. It could just happen. But thank you guys for coming on. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for supporting. And yeah, we're out. Bye, y'all.